Peace, love, and light, starseeds, especially my Blu-rays. That's what we're here for. So today I wanted to speak about how the Blu-ray has been called by many different names, but one of the strongest attributes that the Blu-ray possesses is of the Hyeoka empath. Now, the Hyeoka empath, they say, is the most masterful. I don't like to say strongest or better or anything like that. They're just the most masterful because they do anything in their power in order to heal you. So basically, a lot, we'll talk about this another time too, a lot of Blu-rays come with a twin flame. If they're a strong Hyeoka especially, because this takes like ascended master type of healing, mirror healing, in order to practice this effectively. So just like a little history about the Hyeoka, called the Sacred Clown by the Lakota native tribe, like a jester of some sort, but the way that I interpret it is the Blu-ray can bridge a gap by humor and can basically change somebody's entire mood just with humor. And the jester was looked at as a fool, but he was kind of the one really controlling things, if you think about it, controlling the crowd. So as an alchemist, you know, that's what we do. We take control of the consciousness. So there's so much to know about this Hyeoka empath, but I wanted to be able to share some experiences as a Blu-ray from my Hyeoka empath. So basically, we all know what an empath is, right? You know, a true empath feels the emotions of others. They can put themselves in other people's situations, like empathy, a deep empathy, but you can feel the emotions of others. Now, the Heyoka can feel the suffering so strong, but they can absorb it. And that's why it's very important for us to know this about ourselves, this type of empath that we are. Because if we can absorb it, then how are we releasing it? And what are we absorbing? And do we know what is our energy and theirs at that point? And that can just make a big mess. So it's one of the big reasons why we must know what a Hyeoka empath is and how it fits in with our energetic field, our nature, our being, our spirit, our soul, our density, our mission, our place to be here. So the Heyoka, now the Blu-ray is claircognizant. They just know things. Like the intuition becomes so strong that the knowing becomes claircognizant. It's just the most subtle thing that can just be like, whoa. And then they make these connections that like nobody would ever make, and that's why it's very hard for a Heyoka to be not lost in translation with another because of the connection. Blu-rays always hear, oh, it's not that deep, it's not that deep. It is that deep. Now, we don't have to explain to everybody how deep it is all the time, but yeah, it is that deep, and it's okay to say that. Remember, that's your consent. That's how you're going to make that change, that alchemical change. You are going to speak it into existence, especially as a sovereign being. So, so it's like too much negative. Say a crowd of people, like a Heyoka could take on so many people's emotions and juggle them at the same time, their consciousness, like heal like 10 at the same time. But now let's say you get a whole group of negative people, that can be easily absorbed, and it can look like neurodivergence, that title that they use for people who have anxiety and autism, things of that nature. It's just energy being trapped and not being reciprocated, or or in other words, able to go anywhere. So, and too much energy can make one eccentric. So, too much energy, too much positive energy for a Hyeoka and a Blu-ray uh, will look like something like a mania of some sort. So our energy grid reacts to the energy around us, and that goes for everybody, right? But for the Hyeoka, it's like we can just walk in the room wrong, and we're a mirror. So if somebody, doesn't like what they see, then within, then and then within you, then forget that. So they can react. So they also talk about the Hyeoka as a trickster. I like this because I wrote down in my notes to talk about Loki. So I like to say, okay, so a trickster god or a trickster entity will use any means necessary to heal somebody, to get them to see something that needs to be brought to light. Especially since Blu-rays are able to see the past, present, and future simultaneously. So it's very hard. Now look at Loki. He was like so tempted. He did it. He would just go ahead and create situations because he would see how the path was going to turn out anyway, and he would kind of like push it along his way. Now that can be a very dangerous thing if it's not in the correct hands, if it's not for the good of others, and it has nothing to do with the ego. You're truly healing. So, seeing the future, one can definitely want to manipulate consciousness through their light codes and their own emotions if they could. This can be so misconstrued with so many people. Especially if you're dealing with a mind that is not conscious and is on the more narcissistic behavioral side. It's all you. Even though they're seeing the mirror, they're not able to see themselves truly. It's you. It's just like, it's such a wild situation. That's why when an empath hooks up with a narc, it's like the empath has to take the initiative and heal the narc by bringing them to consciousness, because remember, consciousness is the opposite of narcissistic behavior. That's all. No psychology to it. Doesn't have to be that way. How would one know unless they try to heal that in one another? That's what a twin flame relationship entails. You're pulling the narcissism out of both of you so you can both become conscious, and you're a mirror for each other, so you're one soul split into two. So also another way to tell if you're a Heyoka is you give aspiring advice, like, you don't think so, I don't like to use the word modest. It's just our job, and it's just what we do. So we give advice based off of what you tell us. So we don't ever assume anything. We don't see you as anything, and you shouldn't see us as anything or anyone. We just give you the solution to what you said the problem was. Now, when one is not ready to face that, the ego can quickly revert and turn on that with the narcissistic behavioral mind. So we know that that's happened to us. If you're a Hyeoka, that's definitely happened to you. So helping, this is something that I would say all the time, and I wanted to bring this up because I noticed this since I was probably like 9-10 years old. Helping is not a conscious thought. Helping another, meeting them where they're at and helping with what they say they need, or what you can see that they need, is something that just kind of like takes over innately. It's not something until you reflect on it later. Like, for instance, I've been in very dark, dangerous situations. Like I said in my last video, it was part of the boot camp, you know? No victimization. It was all here to be in the dark so you can be in the darkest of the dark to show and shine that light and still not go anywhere. So, you know, and I've been in a situation where I've jumped in front of a gun, and later on I thought about it, and later on I was like, wow, that could have been pretty wild. But it's kind of like no fear. So they're basically like mirrored souls. The Hyeoka and the Blu-ray are kind of like peas in a pod. They go together. So another way to spot us is we are never part of the regular crowd. We know we didn't come here to stay, so we're not getting comfortable. We are authentic, so we go with the counterculture, I guess you would say. Not on purpose or anything like that. It just is. We don't even care what we wear. We don't care what people think. If we didn't have to wear clothes or could wear the same thing every day, that would take thoughts off of my consciousness to think about something even better. They're fickle. Clothing, this body, all of it, it's all fickle. We're all spirit. So, so we can sense others like a mirror reflection, which can be a positive or a negative thing. Either way, it's all positive for us because it's a catalyst to change. So we're known to use unconventional ways to catalyze this change, and sometimes it can seem very mean, but it's just to bring something out that was hidden underneath. It's a thought-provoking question, but it hits your ego a little differently. So if you feel happy, then we're going to mirror that back to you. If you're upset, we're going to mirror that back to you. So it allows you to witness your behavior firsthand. That's where that polarity comes in. We do use the face of the clown to engage in difficult situations, the Heyoka. So we use humor in a lot of ways. That's been highly misinterpreted in the past as well. We use wisdom, charm, sense of humor. They say we're the most powerful empath because we heal by any means necessary, like to assist or help, like any means necessary. Like that gun situation is the most mild. So we amaze, amuse, enlighten. We're the most spiritual empaths. We have distinct perspectives. Like they can't be even taught. That's why I'm making this entire channel, because no Blu-rays ever truly talked about their testimony and kind of applied it to these definitions of these words that they call us, or these labels, right? So we do go against the grains. We can do things in reverse. We just go against current societal standards. Like that's what we're here to do, because that wasn't working. We have a strong core identity. There's nothing you could tell us about ourselves that we probably don't already know already, negative wise or positive. But we will always take constructive criticism, and we're here to learn, teach the Blu-ray. So teach, learn, teach. So we're all looking, like you're my reflection and I'm just learning from you. That's all. So there's never any reason to have a large ego with me whatsoever. I'm learning from you just as much as you are from me. So we may come out of, I don't like to say character, but we may come out of our spirits for a minute, but we like adjust right real quick. Like, let's say as a Blu-ray, we're prone to sentient programs, scent programs, societal programs, familial programs, and we are prone to demonic possession, parasite possession, if you want to call it that. So like I mentioned in the last video, that's why we eat a certain way. That's why we're constantly fasting our bodies. We have to. The dark attracts flies like shit, okay? Like a moth to a flame, but I mean, it attracts all of them. We're very particular about the crown of our head, what we wear on it, when we're with the public, who touches us, who is in our space, who we share our body with, if we even do. We have complex, extraordinary ideas. So visionaries, like Picasso was a visionary, and he thought his work sucked. Well, look at now. I mean, he thought he was a failure. So visionaries aren't truly understood until they're dead, usually. We're doers, advice givers. Oh, you can see us in advisor positions, like big time. That goes with the Blu-ray and the Heyoka together. We can influence one with our thoughts. That's why it is very important for us to have control of our mind, meaning we have to deprogram the subconscious mind, and I will do a video on that if you guys want me to. We can practice it together. I can tell you the method that I use, because there is no box for us, and the thoughts have to be pure. They have to come from spirit. They cannot come from some conscious egoic mind if we're going to heal others. So we don't get down. We do laugh at our problems. YOLO, right? So when we think about problems, they grow double. When we laugh, they become bubbles. I thought that was pretty interesting that I read about the Hyeoka, depicted as the clown, the joker, the jester. We're very energetic healers, so we use our energy. That's why there's a Blu-ray on YouTube that calls herself the Alchemist, the alchemical. They just flip it and reverse it, you know. Very straightforward, sincere. We have a strong throat chakra. Once that throat chakra, because it's been closed for like thousands of years because we've been persecuted, they've looked at us as like demons, devils, like all kinds of crazy stuff. And we have been silenced. So when we use, and we've been, and because, like I said, our voices are light vehicles or light codes. So what I'm saying to you right now, in another etheric world, dimension, density, I could be saying something totally different to one of your demons if I'm speaking to one of your demons. We face issues head on with the truth, like there's no passive aggressiveness. We want you to step forward. So you could, we don't mind stepping forward with you just to be that catalyst for the change. We don't care, like, it's not about us. We're not healing you. We're just a mirror to show you what you need to work on. So this is my favorite thing about us. And this is like the trickster in me, the little deviousness in me. So we bring awakening with disruptive behavior. Okay, so let me give you an example. So I knew somebody who was very angry, and the more I stayed calm, the more angry they would get, to the point where they realized that I had nothing but good intentions, and they ended up taking their anger out on me. So we show people who they are. We're a catalyst, we're a mirror. So that could be a disruptive behavior. Maybe like goading somebody a little bit to like get to that point, to push that anger out so they can display it, so they can finally see it. Because that's the thing about deception. Somebody has to tell you, and usually we don't listen to each other. So what's better than a mirror? Shows a reflection, right? And you're my reflection. So humor, pranks, assumptions to disrupt thinking patterns. So we will disrupt a thinking pattern, and we'll do this even if we already know. We know the answer already. We see. We're disrupting the thinking pattern by asking a question, by going off topic, by going to a place where maybe you never thought you would go, a different vision, just adding to it, kind of like a team player. But this is looked at as disrupting thinking patterns, like invoking thinking. It's all perspective, it's all subjective how we are looked at. We can express emotions intensely. So when we're mad, like, I realized that while I was in welding school, I couldn't be upset, like, openly. I had to go and let it out in the bathroom and then put on a happy face because my energy was that strong. It could turn 12 people, 12 men. Yeah. So once I realized how powerful that was, I didn't want anybody to feel that. I didn't want anybody to feel what I was going through. My goal, my mission is to get people to feel joy, a sense of joy, not, my ego's anger at that time, So that's another example. We can provoke reactions bringing unconventional change. So where most people think that we head into dangerous situations and we shouldn't be doing this and that, it's just one of our ways. We do it by any means necessary. Hyokas have great pattern recognition. We can see connections that are like not possibly overlooked, but overlooked. Because people say it's not that deep. They don't even know how we got from point A to Z. And I can't even tell you, probably just claircognizant from so much inner work and healing, that the intuition turns into like a claircognizance, and it just goes like after you've seen the situation 1,000 times, you just know how it's going to end. You know what it is. Like, you have faith in your abilities at that point. We have I think I said that we have deep spiritual insight and wisdom. We know many different spiritual practices. This is why this goes with the blue ray as well. This is what the blue ray and the Heyoka have in common. I think this is why they call it the blue ray the Heyoka, because we have a deep, it's almost an obsession with spiritual knowledge. It's not to collect or to pose or to use as our own. It's to know, to learn, to put it through our processing system and be like, oh, okay. Sorry, I get disrupted. So we like to know many spiritual practices, and honestly, I don't really use any of the practices that I've learned. I have my own way, and in 20 years I'll probably write a book about it. Right now you're just hearing me, talk about how I do it now. So it's just that brand new. It's just we've returned. It's just we're that evolutionary. Put an R in front of it. We're that evolutionary. That's pretty much all I wanted to say about the Hyeoka. The underlying issues, though, I did want to say it does help people, individuals, to address and resolve those situations when you bring them to light. you're going to look like the bad guy for a while. You may even get beat up. But if that's what it took, that's what it took, you know. That person, you're a catalyst for change. You're that tap on the shoulder. Transformation's never the same. We're constantly transforming. People are like, you're not the same person you were yesterday. No, I'm not. I'm not even Monica anymore. That was a program. No. Beliefs, ideas are a lot easier to change than beliefs. Belief systems are just putting you in another box. Just have ideas, have thoughts, have theories, you know, ponder it, question yourself, always question your own mind. A Hyeoka will always push you out of your comfort zone. That's the last thing I wanted to say. Well, I'm getting ready to go have a fire. I hope you guys resonated with us, and say peace, love, and